These 4 healthy nuts could silently age you faster. Most seniors eat them daily, but some secretly raise blood sugar, weaken bones, or inflame joints. Let's eat the 4 healing nuts that protect you, and the 4 that might be doing silent damage. Ever looked at a walnut and thought, this kinda looks like a brain? Well, you're not imagining things. Nature has a poetic way of leaving clues, and walnuts are a brilliant example of that. Their crinkled, brain-like shape isn't just a fun coincidence, it's symbolic of what they do for your brain. Seriously, these little wrinkly wonders are one of the most powerful tools in your healthy aging arsenal. You know how sometimes you walk into a room and forget why you went in there? Or maybe a word is right on the tip of your tongue, but it won't come out? That's not just getting older. That's your brain asking for a little extra love. And walnuts? They're whispering, "Let me help." They're rich in alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a plant-based omega-3 that supports cognitive function. According to research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, higher ALA intake correlates with improved memory, better focus, and even faster processing speed. It's like updating your brain's software. Who wouldn't want that? But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Walnuts are also loaded with polyphenols, those inflammation-fighting compounds that act like little fire extinguishers in your body. Chronic inflammation is a quiet thief, stealing your clarity, energy, and even mood. By dialing that down, polyphenols create the kind of internal calm where your brain can actually think clearly. That's not just science. That's a second chance at sharper, more joyful living. And let's not forget melatonin, that natural sleep hormone. Walnuts offer a dose of it that's just right, enough to promote restful sleep without knocking you out cold. And better sleep? That's when your brain does its house cleaning. It's not just about feeling rested. It's about protecting long-term memory, emotional resilience, and even your risk of cognitive decline. Now here's something practical. If you shell the walnuts yourself, you're doing more than just prepping a snack. You're strengthening hand dexterity, a critical but often overlooked component of senior health. One of my clients, Sandra, 72, started cracking walnuts each morning with her coffee. Within weeks, her grip improved and she was able to open jars again without help, something she hadn't done in years. And if you're thinking, but I already take supplements for brain health, let me bust a myth wide open. Nutrients from food, especially something as naturally synergistic as a walnut, work better because they come with cofactors that pills just don't replicate. Real food, real impact, real longevity. Walnuts also contribute to heart health, and as it turns out, your heart and brain are on the same team. What's good for one often boosts the other. Blood flow, oxygen delivery, mood regulation, all of it improves with walnut inclusion. Just a small handful a day can go a long way. Not to mention they're incredibly versatile. Sprinkle them on your oatmeal, toss them in a salad with a little arugula and balsamic glaze, or grind them into a paste for a brain-boosting spread on whole grain toast. And hey, let's talk cost. Walnuts may seem pricey, but you're not buying a snack. You're investing in your future. Think of them like a retirement plan for your mind. Can you really put a price tag on mental clarity and emotional balance? The part that shocks people most? You don't need a ton. In fact, too much of any nut isn't ideal, and we'll talk more about which ones you should watch out for soon. But with walnuts, about 1 ounce, that's roughly 7 halves, is enough to light up your neural networks. Consistency, not quantity, is the secret. And one last surprise. Did you know that regularly eating walnuts has been associated with a lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease? A UCLA study found that adults who consumed more walnuts performed significantly better on cognitive tests. That's huge. That's empowerment on a plate. So if you've been feeling a little foggy, a bit forgetful, maybe not quite you lately, don't write it off as just aging. That's an invitation. Your body is whispering, "Feed me better fuel." Start today with a handful of walnuts. Let their ancient wisdom reconnect you to yourself. And once that mental spark starts flickering again, you might wonder what else you've been missing out on. Now, let's take a closer look at another nut that doesn't just keep your brain in the game, but helps your bones stand strong while doing it. Your bones aren't just stiff scaffolding. They're alive, constantly rebuilding, and one quiet ally in keeping them strong, almonds. They don't just offer calcium. They bring magnesium too, the mineral that makes sure calcium goes to your bones, not your arteries. Without enough magnesium, All that calcium from dairy or supplements can end up clogging your system. That's a recipe for trouble. Almonds also bring vitamin E to the table, a natural anti-inflammatory that protects joints and slows the wear and tear that often sneaks up with age. Less pain, more movement. And that's key to healthy aging, staying upright, active, and independent. Think of almonds like tiny bone mechanics working behind the scenes. They also keep things moving in the gut, literally. The fiber and healthy fats in almonds help ease constipation, a common, often ignored issue in later years. And as your digestion improves, so does nutrient absorption, mood, and even mental clarity. But here's the trick: quality matters. Skip the salted, oil-roasted kind. Go raw or dry-roasted, unsalted. Just a small handful daily, maybe 20 almonds is enough. Toss them in oatmeal, blend them into smoothies, crush them over sautéed greens. Simple choices, powerful shifts. And as your bones get stronger, another part of your body is waiting for support, one that quietly controls your energy, focus, and metabolism. Most people don't give much thought to their thyroid until it starts acting up. But this tiny gland manages your energy, mood, metabolism, and even how warm or cold you feel. Brazil nuts, they're like the secret switch that keeps it humming. Just 1 or 2 a day gives you a powerful dose of selenium, a mineral your thyroid depends on to function properly. Selenium helps convert hormones into their active form. Without enough, fatigue creeps in, mood dips, and thinking gets foggy. It also supports nerve insulation and protects your DNA from damage, a major win for longevity and brain health. Think of it as armor your body wears quietly, every single day. The surprise: more isn't better. Just 2 Brazil nuts give you what you need. Any more and you could tip into excess. That's how potent they are. Keep them refrigerated and in shell if possible. That keeps their nutrients intact. A cracked nut after lunch can be more effective than another supplement bottle on your shelf. And yes, they gently ease constipation too. It's the blend of fiber, healthy fats, and micronutrients working together in your favor. All of this from a nut most people don't even think to eat. But as much as Brazil nuts fine-tune your inner system, not all nuts are so friendly. Some quietly undo your progress, and one in particular could be throwing off your blood sugar every time you snack. If you've ever felt your blood pressure creeping up, or been told it's borderline, pistachios might be your quiet support system. Their high potassium to sodium ratio helps ease pressure on blood vessels, supporting a healthier, steadier heartbeat. For aging bodies, that balance is gold. But the benefits don't stop at the heart. Pistachios also contain antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, nutrients that protect your eyes from light damage and age-related vision decline. Clearer vision means fewer falls, more confidence, and greater independence. And then there's the shelling process. That simple act of cracking each shell slows your eating pace, encouraging mindfulness. It's a built-in speed bump for those moments when mindless snacking could lead to overeating. You enjoy the snack more, and you naturally eat less. Their mild crunch also supports jaw activity without overstraining dental work. For those managing blood sugar, pistachios are gentle, low in carbs, rich in fiber, and paired with healthy fats that slow glucose spikes. Raw or dry roasted, unsalted is your best bet. Try adding them to a quinoa salad, blending into pesto, or enjoying a small bowl in the afternoon slump. They're not just a snack, they're a subtle strategy for healthy aging and steady energy. But not every nut has your best interest at heart. One in particular might be sabotaging your glucose levels without you even realizing it. Cashews often sneak into snack bowls looking innocent, but for aging bodies, they can stir up real trouble. They're high in carbs and low in fiber, a combination that sends blood sugar soaring fast. If you've been working to manage glucose levels or keep energy steady, cashews might be quietly undoing your efforts. And that's not all. Cashews contain compounds that actually interfere with calcium absorption. So while you might think you're eating something healthy, your bones may be getting shortchanged, especially concerning for those already dealing with thinning bone mass. There's also the choking risk, often overlooked but very real for seniors. Cashews are dense and can stick in the throat, especially when dry roasted or clustered. For anyone with slowed chewing or reduced saliva production, it's a red flag. Even digestion takes a hit. Cashews have enzyme inhibitors that make protein harder to break down, something your body already struggles with more as you age. Add to that the fact that many cashews are processed at high heat, stripping away nutrients, and you're left with a snack that looks healthy but behaves more like candy. If you've been reaching for them thinking you're doing yourself a favor, it's worth a second look. There are better options and a few more nuts that may be causing problems you haven't linked back to your pantry yet. Peanuts wear a health halo they haven't earned. Despite their popularity, they're not even true nuts. They're legumes, and that difference matters. Peanuts often carry hidden dangers, especially for seniors. One of the biggest? Aflatoxins, mold-based toxins linked to liver damage and increased inflammation. And many people eat them daily, never realizing the risk. They're also high in omega-6 fatty acids, which, when out of balance with omega-3s, stoke the fires of chronic inflammation. That can worsen arthritis, cloud cognition, and clash with medications designed to manage these exact issues. If you're working hard to reduce joint pain or brain fog, peanuts may be quietly pulling you in the opposite direction. To make matters worse, they're often roasted in oils that age the body. Think hydrogenated fats, sodium, and additives your system doesn't need. Even dry roasted isn't always clean. And because they're soft and easy to chew, they're easy to overeat, which adds unnecessary calories and weight gain without much nutritional payoff. They may feel familiar, comforting, even nostalgic, but not everything comforting is kind. If inflammation, pain, or digestive flare-ups have been creeping in, it might be time to rethink what's hiding in your trail mix. And there's another nut people think is exotic and high-end, but it can throw your medications and your sense of taste completely off balance. Pine nuts may look harmless, tiny, elegant, often found in fancy dishes, but they can be surprisingly disruptive for older adults. One of the strangest side effects? A condition called pine mouth, where everything you eat tastes metallic and bitter for days, sometimes even weeks. Imagine losing the joy of flavor, one of the simplest pleasures in life, over a few salad sprinkles. But it doesn't stop there. Pine nuts can interact with common medications, especially blood thinners and cholesterol drugs, potentially reducing their effectiveness or causing unpredictable side effects. For seniors managing multiple prescriptions, that's a serious concern that often flies under the radar. They're also a known inflammation trigger for some, particularly those with sensitivities or autoimmune conditions. Bloating, fatigue, skin irritation, symptoms you might never trace back to the handful of pine nuts in your pesto. Aspiration is another risk. Their small size and slick texture make them easy to inhale accidentally, especially if chewing is rushed or teeth aren't strong. It's a hidden hazard that becomes more serious with age-related swallowing changes. So while pine nuts may look gourmet, their impact can be far from refined. If your health feels off and you're eating them regularly, it's worth cutting them out for a while. But if you think they're calorie-dense, wait until you meet one last nut that packs the most punch in the wrong direction. Macadamias are often seen as the crown jewel of nuts. Creamy, decadent, smooth. They're marketed as premium, even healthful. But here's what doesn't make the label. For older adults trying to stay sharp, light, and heart-healthy, macadamias can quietly sabotage those goals. They may taste like they belong in a 5-star snack, but their impact is anything but refined. Let's start with what you feel first, the richness. That buttery mouthfeel isn't just indulgent, it signals density. These nuts are among the most calorie-packed out there. Just a small handful can sneak in over 200 calories, and that's without any flavorings, salt, or oils. It's not just that they're high in fat, they're almost entirely fat. And while fat isn't the enemy, not all fats carry the same benefits. The monounsaturated fats in macadamias haven't been studied the same way as the ones found in heart-healthy nuts like almonds or walnuts. That means you're consuming a heavy load of energy with far fewer known protective effects for your heart and brain. Then there's the issue of overconsumption. Because they're soft, mild, and easy on the teeth, macadamias slide past your senses before your body has time to register fullness. You can eat 10, 15, 20 without feeling like you've overdone it, until you suddenly have. This is especially risky for anyone trying to manage weight or blood lipids. Unlike crunchy nuts that slow you down, macadamias tend to disappear quickly, leading to unintentional snacking that adds up fast. And let's talk digestion. With aging, the gallbladder may not process fats as efficiently. That high fat load from macadamias can feel heavy, slowing digestion, causing bloating or triggering discomfort. I once worked with a client who couldn't figure out why she always felt sluggish after her healthy snack. We traced it back to a bowl of macadamias she kept at her desk. Once she swapped them for raw pistachios, not only did her energy lift, but she lost 2 pounds without changing anything else. They're also often sold roasted in oil or salted, multiplying the health risks. Those added oils can promote inflammation, raise LDL cholesterol, and undermine efforts to maintain cardiovascular health. And while they're often labeled as natural or gourmet, what you're really getting is a high-fat snack with little protein, minimal fiber, and barely there micronutrients. It's a lot of energy with very little payoff. Dental health can be affected too. Macadamias might seem softer than almonds or hazelnuts, but they can still place strain on compromised teeth or older dental work, especially if they've hardened slightly or been roasted. For seniors managing sensitivity or wearing dental appliances, that's a risk worth noticing. And perhaps the most deceptive part? They're not part of the core studies showing nut benefits for heart disease, cognitive function, or longevity. When major research shows the power of nuts in preventing decline, macadamias are usually left off the list, not because they were tested and failed, but because they were never considered essential to the benefits in the first place. In short, they're more treat than tool. And if you're serious about keeping your energy balanced, digestion smooth, and heart strong, there are better choices. Because not every nut in the bowl is playing for your team. Now that you've met the quiet disruptors, the real question becomes, are the ones you do eat helping or harming your health goals? Are the nuts you snack on helping or silently harming you? A small switch can protect your bones, brain, and heart more than you think. Which nut shocked you most? Comment below and let's talk. Click the next video to keep learning how small changes can protect everything you care about. And don't forget to subscribe. Your future self will thank you.